Hello everybody and welcome to another upload here. This time I'm going to be talking about the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, my cell phone, and more importantly, my cell phone camera and what it means to me in cinematography and in photography. And I'm going to tell you, I took a giant leap of faith in researching the advancement of cell phones over the last, I would say, 3 years in particular, the tremendous advancement they have made in the quality of video they produced and the packaging, the dynamite internals that are within the packaging there. A couple years ago, it was very difficult to do cinematic movies. I managed to crank out a few just for testing on the Samsung Galaxy S5. But I want to tell you what, this Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus is just in a world by itself. I sold all of my Olympus gear. I sold all of my very expensive lenses, and I decided to vest almost all of my faith into doing videos using a cell phone camera. Reason being, I got tired of lugging a lot of the equipment around, and I became so impressed with the quality of the cinematography that some of my the people, some of the channels that I follow on YouTube were just doing phenomenal videos with just cell phone cameras, Apple, iPhone 10s, Samsungs, LGs. They were doing amazing work with them. And I finally decided that the time had come where the intersection of convenience, value, and performance had crossed between heavy camera gear and carrying everything in a very light package here. Plus, I can make phone calls, I can play Angry Birds, I can message the world. I could never do that on my cameras. Okay, so to me, it was a great trade-off. Recently, I finished a day-and-a-half trip to Point Reyes Station. I shot about 10 video segments with the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, and here are my thoughts on that camera. Let's talk about the things that disappointed me. Let's talk about the good things, and then let's talk about something that really shocked me to no end. Let's talk about the one real disappointment I have, and I knew before going in, is the telephoto aspects. The telephoto ability of cell phone cameras, of course, is going to be limited because you cannot pack a lot of optical dynamics into that. But I knew when rating cell phone cameras for video, I knew that the telephoto lens on the Apple iPhone 10 was going to be superior to the one on the Samsung. I'm not saying it's horrendous. I'm just saying if there's one weak spot for the camera, the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, it's the fact that it's limited in terms of its telephoto range. Now, sometimes this is important. For example, I was on the trip to Point Reyes, and there's beautiful scenery on the Marin County coastline above San Francisco. Just gorgeous out there. Tamales Bay, and there was a motorcycle. There was a guy standing next to his motorcycle, just in awe of the scene in front of him, the beautiful water, the rolling hills, the fog coming over the top, like fingers creeping over the top of the hills there. It was a beautiful scene, and he pulled off his motorcycle to take a look at it. Well, you know, if I had my big Olympus camera with my 70 to 300 millimeter lens, I could have got in real close on him and just had that sense of awe that he had standing next to his motorcycle. Well, when I tried to do that on my cell phone camera, well, it just it just wasn't happening. Okay. To really pull that off, I would have to been within about 30 or 40 feet instead of like 100, 150 feet. So the telephoto lens is definitely a fail on this. Now let's talk about some of the good things. This, of course, has two lenses on it. You can see an upper and a lower lens. One of them is a regular f2.8 for regular all-around shooting, and then it has a low f1 point something for nighttime. I think it's 1.8 or 1.6. A very fast lens. It really opens up the nighttime, and it was really great. I went down to Point Reyes Station on Marin County, and I did some night video there. You can look at the series that I recently completed, boondocking down there, and I was really impressed with the way that the two lenses seamlessly worked there. You didn't have to switch back and forth between. So I was very happy to have two lenses. Okay, that's number one. So at nighttime, it just opened everything up. So much so that I have a Filmic Pro app. It lets me take total control of the camera functions. In other words, I can blur out the focus, I can adjust the ISO, I can adjust the shutter speed. Well, I was able to dial back the ISO to take it to make, it was so bright, that fast lens, that I had to dial it down, and I could do that in Filmic Pro. You may not be able to do that, and use that footage. Sometimes you shoot things at night, you want it to look like nighttime out there, but this is wonderful having those two lenses there, and using an app called Filmic Pro. It works beautifully. That's a real plus on there, the two lenses. Stabilization is outstanding. Okay, you can't still stabilize telephoto, but in regular video, walking and talking, the things that I do a lot on my videos, selfie and vlogging and all that, the stabilization on the Samsung is what sold me on the camera originally. Okay, I know it took good video, and I know that it had that good stabilization, and I know the stabilization was superior to the Apple iPhone 10, and it really proved that on this trip. While I'm going along in a car and I'm videoing things, I'm not having that. I'm not walking along. I'm not having that jello of going back and forth. It was really great, the stabilization. The saturation or the colors out of camera, some people like that very vivid coloration. I like to do more cinematic videos, so sometimes I'm tempted to desaturate the images or remove a little bit of the color and up the contrast. You can do that, of course, in post-production. The Samsung tends to be a little cool in its color palette and its hue compared to the Apple iPhone 10, but it's really, really quite nice, and it renders a really good out-of-camera video. Let's talk about the quality of shooting 4K 60 frames. It is great. You should always shoot in 4K, and then you can always downscale that on production to a 1080, 60 or something like that. You want that camera to grab as much as possible. Now, since I was direct uploading from the road and doing all my editing in camera, I wanted to upload that same day and do all my editing. So I love the convenience factor of having my CyberLink Power Director in there, or my Filmic Pro. It made it so fast to get videos up. I just got so tired of editing and DaVinci Resolve and color editing and downloading everything to the computer, then putting it into the program, then adjusting that, then saving it, and then uploading it again. It made it so easy just to add music in camera and everything. It was awesome, and it can handle 4K video like a champ. Let's talk about another big plus on this camera too. There's something in videography and cinematography, it's called rolling shutter. In other words, when you pan sideways and you do your video, a lot of times in 90% of cameras, you're going to get this awful streaking and a sense of a smear. Okay, that's rolling shutter. Okay, that's a rolling shutter situation. If you look at my videos on the way home, my last video from that trip, I had the camera held looking at the side window of the car with the window down on a selfie stick pointing out, and the video it took going sideways was phenomenal to me. The rolling shutter is one of the worst things about videography and cinematography for cameras. And the Samsung so far exceeded my expectations of rolling shutter. It was amazing. Okay, now let's talk about what I wasn't expecting that really blew me away. For years, with GoPro cameras, with Canon cameras, with Panasonic cameras, with Kodak cameras, with Polaroid cubes, various iterations of GoPro, and a lot of these fast cams, this Olympus tracker, and these various cameras, I always fought sound issues. You know, the sound would be muffled, the wind noise would be killer. I'd be in restaurants and I'd capture all this ambient sound, and people would be like, I can't even hear you. You know, with the GoPro, trying to hold it in the case to video, and it's not picking up well. Okay, well, let me tell you, this picks up in stereo. And I was so blown away by the quality of the audio that every single video that I put up had great audio. And if you don't think audio is important, think about this. People will watch a movie, okay? And they'll put up with a crappy camera like a Blair Witch Project shaking all over and craziness, but they won't put up with bad sound. They'll just click it off. If they can't, if it's unintelligible, they'll just click off the video. Boy, I'll tell you, this thing has been a game changer for me. So I'm going to give this a strong B plus, A minus. The question is, would I buy it again? Of course, I can make phone calls, I can surf the net, I can do banking, I can pay bills, phone calls, everything. Photography, look up a calendar, calculator, this is just make hotel reservations. I'll tell you, my camera could never do all of that. All right, there's my initial review of the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. To me, it's been a total winner. I bought it from B&H Photo. I'm not receiving any endorsement for this or any value. I'm giving my honest opinion of it. I bought it, I think it was something on the order of $850 from B&H Photo. They sell it tax-free. They ship it for free. And you know what? You got 30 days to return it if you don't like it. How do you like them apples? Okay, B&H Photo, New York City. The photographer, cinematographer, videographer, and photographer's store. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for being along and watching my review of the wonderful Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus.